Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Now. Today is Thursday, February 24th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. And we start off with the story that has international attention. What is happening in Ukraine related to Russia? And what we did hear this morning is that Russia has made an even more aggressive invasion of Ukraine. Thursday, today, lots of us woke up to news that Russia has been hitting cities and bases with airstrikes, and civilians are rushing to get out of Ukraine. We've seen images of highways and roadways out of Ukraine completely backed up. NBC News is reporting that Russia attacked Ukraine by air, land, and sea, that dozens of soldiers and civilians were killed, seizing control of the Chernobyl power plant area. Ukrainian's President Vladimir Zelensky said today that Russia's attempt to seize the Chernobyl area is a declaration of war against the whole of Europe. So this afternoon, President Joe Biden addressed the country and talked about more sanctions as the casualties begin to grow in Ukraine. President Biden, in these new round of sanctions, says that Russian President Vladimir Putin chose this war, and the country of Russia will feel the consequences of that choice. So the sanctions will be targeting Russian banks, oligarchs, and high-tech sectors. And the United States and allies will block the assets of 4 large Russian banks, impose export controls, and sanction oligarchs. Now, this is part of the White House's plan to make sure that Russia feels this pain financially and to avoid military use. And part of that will block export to Russia and Russia's military of U.S. semiconductors and other high-tech products. These are the kind of products that would be used in things like planes and those sorts of things. President Biden also said that he was authorizing sending additional U.S. forces to Germany to help NATO respond to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and that this would be using some of the forces that the Department of Defense had placed on standby weeks ago. Now, for now, President Biden has held off on imposing some of the most severe sanctions. We'll talk about what some of those are in just a moment. But for now, the Biden administration has talked about what will happen, and part of the plan is to impact Russia's economy, but also a concern here is to make sure the broader European economy is not impacted by this. So that possible sanction, but that is not likely necessarily at this moment because there is a hesitance to go to this extreme, is pulling Russia out of what's called SWIFT. It's the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. And what this would do is it would basically take Russia out of the international financial community. It is an option, but it's not a position that the rest of Europe wants to take right now. That's according to President Biden. It's a secure messaging system. It links more than 11,000 financial institutions in over 200 countries and territories. And again, taking Russia out of this would make even the most simple international transactions very difficult, but it could hurt other economies. So the question is, will Russians feel the impact of the things that are being done right now? Now, Russia has significant currency reserves. They also have current high prices in the country to get its petroleum and a comparatively low debt at the moment. So that will help Russia over the short term weather out these sanctions. This is according to a Russia analyst with the International Crisis Group. But over the long run, this analyst is saying that the kind of punishment that's being promised by President Biden would really deepen Russia's economic stagnation and would be felt by ordinary Russians in a way that they have not yet had to suffer the cost in this conflict. But again, there are dangers here. With the U.S. export restrictions, that potentially could risk motivating businesses to look for alternatives elsewhere. That does include China. Here's what our politicians are saying about the situation. Senator Sherrod Brown says that Russia's unprovoked assault on Ukraine is an affront to freedom the world over. This attack will be met with decisive action by the U.S. and our allies. Vladimir Putin chose war. He is unleashing senseless destruction on the Ukrainian people, and he will face the consequences. He went on to say President Biden has made it clear the U.S. and our allies and partners will impose the strongest sanctions Russia has ever seen. And Senator Brown says that he'll work with the Biden administration to implement them against Russian officials and oligarchs who prop up Putin's regime. Senator Rob Portman said that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is an unprovoked, flagrant violation of international law, one that will result in senseless loss of life, which we are already seeing on the ground in Ukraine. Representative Marcy Kaptur said that together the U.S. and our allies need to unleash crippling sanctions against Russia and swiftly bolster Ukraine's military capabilities. The security and stability of Europe and the preservation of global liberty are all on the line. And Representative Anthony Gonzalez said today that we pray for the brave Ukrainians who have awoken to invasion led by a tyrant. While our immediate focus should be on supporting the Ukrainian people and deterring future Russian aggression, we should also be aware that our enemies are watching. China, Iran, and others will see our actions and those of our allies and adjust their plans accordingly. Whether we like it or not, we have a responsibility to lead. While we should not commit our military to another costly war in another faraway land, we simply must do more to raise the cost of today's invasion to Putin. He went on to say, absent a more forceful response that changes the calculation for Mr. Putin, we should expect more of the same from him and our other enemies. I pray that our nation finds the wisdom to make the right decisions and prevent the most catastrophic of outcomes. Now, while people are in a very serious situation in Ukraine and also very serious situations in Russia, there have been more than 1,000 people arrested in Russia for anti-war protests, mind you, in the past couple of days, in the past day or so. We are feeling the impact here in the U.S. One of those ways is gas prices. That's something that people are seeing here in Northeast Ohio and around the country. Today, President Biden said he would do everything in his power to keep gas prices lower, to sort of stave off that impact of rising gasoline costs because of the situation that's happening in Russia and Ukraine. He said that the U.S. will release oil from the strategic oil reserves to reduce the cost of gasoline if it becomes necessary, and he wants to do everything he can to limit the pain that American people feel financially at the pump. Now, bringing it back here to Northeast Ohio, down in Canton, a Canton McKinley school teacher has been placed on leave after video shows the teacher using the N-word while singing a song. The video, which it's not clear when the video was taken, shows the teacher saying the N-word in a rap song after asking the students if she could say the word because it was one of the lyrics. Now, again, it's not known when this alleged incident occurred, but the video has been circulating on social media. The district is conducting an investigation into the matter, and as is the standard procedure, the teacher will be paid while kept out of the classroom while this investigation is underway. Now we turn to weather concerns here in Northeast Ohio because it is Thursday, and we have had quite a few of these on Thursdays over the past several weeks. So the National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for all of Northeast Ohio. That starts at 4 p.m. today. It goes until 9 a.m. on Friday. 3 News meteorologist Holly Strano talked about this morning on Go and said we could be talking school closing and delays on I alert. Now, it's not that massive amounts of snow will be expected, but it's the timing as this weather comes in Friday morning. It could start with icy conditions before getting into snow Friday morning, and it's definitely something that could make that Friday morning commute a little bit tricky, that Friday morning bus ride into school or drive into school, however your kids are getting there, a little bit tricky. So drivers are reminded, slow down, use caution, allow for plenty of extra time before traveling on the roadways. The winter weather will move out on Friday, and then temperatures will warm up above freezing again next week as we are in the final throes of winter here in Northeast Ohio. Now let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. Right now, there are 1,264 people who are in the hospital being treated for COVID-19. Out of those people, 249 of them are being treated in an ICU. And in the last 24 hours, we're staying kind of at the same number that we saw yesterday, just a difference of two less people, 1,321 new reported cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. But remember, that doesn't include those at-home tests. So we do with that number what we can, but that's the official COVID-19 tests that have come in positive reported in the last 24 hours. Now, we are in what would be spring training if we weren't in a Major League Baseball lockout. So we are looking ahead, though. Right now, we know those spring games are canceled through March 5th. Hopefully, they will happen on March 5th, and hopefully we'll have opening day not be delayed here in Cleveland. Right now, that's set for March 31st. But in the meantime, here are a couple things from our Danny Cunningham to look forward to when the Cleveland Guardians do open things back up after that Major League Baseball lockout ends. Jose Ramirez extension talks. You know, he's the third baseman, and he has 2 more seasons of team control, and he had a very team-friendly contract that he signed early on in his career. So according to Spot Track, he'll be set to make $12 million this season. assuming that season happens, fingers crossed, we're optimistic about that. And then a team option for $14 million next season, which the Guardians will most certainly pick up. But he has outplayed his current deal. He has a 4-time top 6 MVP finish. So be interesting to see what the Guardians do there. Also, the first signing of the offseason, the Guardians weren't really making moves before this lockout happened like some of the other teams were. So when the lockout ends, they got to sign somebody, and it will be interesting to see who that is. And plus, we'll get an update on the health of Terry Francona. We haven't heard much news, manager Terry Francona. So in this situation, you kind of think that no news is good news. But he had some health issues that he was dealing with over the past couple seasons, and we look forward to seeing what he is doing, how he's doing when this season does kick off. He is right now the longest tenured manager in Major League Baseball. He's been in Cleveland since the 2013 season, and he is expected to be back leading things this season for the Guardians. For more on that, head to WKYC.com. And if you are someone who's very excited about sports betting coming here to Ohio, that law passed here, so we're just waiting for all the regulations and the nuts and bolts to get into place. But one spot where you will be able to do it when that gets cleared, and by the way, the deadline at the latest is January 1st, 2023, so there is some time, but hoping to kick that off sooner as soon as they get everything situated. It will be at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse because the Cleveland Cavaliers will be partnering with Caesars Entertainment for a sports book at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and it's going to be street level inside the northwest atrium of the arena. It's going to be a beautiful facility, you guys. 10,355 square feet. It'll have a full-service bar, a VIP lounge, a big menu, wall-to-wall TVs, and all of these improvements will be paid for by the Cavaliers and Caesars. So it's expected to begin the construction on this soon. It'll be open by the end of 2022, of course, pending the regulatory and other necessary approvals. And, of course, we expect that sports betting everywhere, that it'll be available to get going, like I said, at the latest January 1st, 2023. But this sounds like it's going to be a really beautiful spot. It really sounds like you're going to be feel like you're walking into Vegas when you walk into Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Look forward to seeing what that looks like when it actually comes to fruition. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Thursday, February 24th. I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.